Today, I'm joined by Colonel Tony Shaffer to help me go through some of the biggest news stories out there. Colonel Shaffer, thank you so much for joining me.
Stephen, always great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. President Trump signed an executive order that every NGO, non-government organization that received money must be audited. Do you think this is the best way to figure out how Biden and others were funneling money to groups that directly worked against America's best interest and the American taxpayer?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. There are three things. First, let's remind the audience: Congress approved all this spending, both sides. Just say it. So, it's already come up that Republicans, some of the Republicans, the neocons primarily, were on the dole. So, Congress, as far as I'm concerned, was a co-conspirator in this. Secondly, and by the way, full disclosure, we didn't take any government money, Stephen, either the London Center or Project Sentinel. We've taken nothing, goose eggs. And I credit that to my old boss, Dr. Herb London, who refused any government money. And I didn't understand it at the time. It's like, why are we not taking money from the government? I mean, they got a lot of money, they're giving it out. And Herb said, no, no way. And he said that they would tie requirements to the outcome. He would never do it. So you and I are friends, Stephen. So I can tell you with a straight face, we've never taken any of that money. But I know other think tanks who did. And man, oh man, I think they got a lot to. And this is left and right. This isn't just liberals and religious organizations. The Lutheran Church, who thought they'd be laundering money? I mean, who'd have thought? So I don't know about Lutherans. Just saying, I just heard this, so I don't know. Anyway, but so that's the second factor, is kind of like everybody's on the take. And I think the last issue is figuring out the damage it did. One of the notable, and by the way, do you understand why Prince Harry and Meghan Markle would get $11 million from U.S. aid for their nonprofit back in 2021? I mean, this is nuts. This is nutty. And so if you just look, even at we're not even down to the specifics of spending. We're just at the top line right now, Stephen. And some of this stuff, figuring out if flavored cigarettes turn lesbians straight. I mean, come on. That was done here in North Carolina. And I don't know what the results were. Just saying. I don't know. But yeah. I'm just saying, it's like, I'm just trying to illustrate how nutty this is. So yeah, you're going to have to go down to the bank account level and the individual level to figure out all where this went. And by the way, Burisma, Ukraine, that loan guarantee that Biden referred to, that basically he threatened to not give them, was USAID. So this is all related. This is all one big spider web of corruption. And again, let me say this and be clear. Congress was a co-conspirator. It's not like a lot of folks didn't know this. I didn't know it because I wasn't getting the money. It's like I was trying to fundraise the old-fashioned way, having salons, trying to discuss policy and try to figure out what's the best course for the American people. Apparently, Stephen, that was unique within our space because everybody else was taking money and getting rich. So who'd have thought? So
yeah, let me ask a clarifying question. When you say Congress approved this money and they're co-conspirators, is that meaning they approve the 50 billion as a blob, or they know the individual line by line items? Because my guess would be that everyone just approves the dollar amount, but stopped looking at what everyone else is spending on.
I think they knew general categories like lesbian studies, and that should have been a red flag right there. No offense to lesbians. I have some good friends who are lesbians. I'm not attacking lesbians. What I'm saying is, if you start stipulating this to go to foreign countries for studies, that's washing. Because what happens, this is the way it happens from what I understand. You have USAID go to a foreign country, I don't know, Honduras, and they say, hey, we want to study, I don't know, the mating habits of gay frogs in trees. Just an example. Maybe, and there's studies like this. I don't think this was one, but But then they state this as a predicate. This is what we want to do. And then they start shopping the requirement out to think tanks. And then think tanks say, oh, we can study this. And they raise their hand and they get a bunch of money. And then, okay, you got a think tank now with money studying this. Well, they really don't study it. They'll do like some cursory report. Say they get $5 million to do this study. It costs them $500,000. That other $4,500,000 goes back to the United States and going to speakers' fees, conference fees. Oh, we got to have a conference in Baltimore to have discussions on the great gay tree frogs, and they wash money in there to pay off their friends. This is a big Ponzi scheme. I swear to God. So, and that's what happened. So this was all payola. This was making bogus studies that cost virtually nothing to do. That money then goes into the think tank. That think tank then hires people, pays out these speaker fees. One of the things I've noticed, and I do have, I do talk, I do paid talks. No, I'm not saying I don't do it, but I'm saying I charge a reasonable rate. Just saying. Some of these folks charge $50,000, $100,000. And that's where the payola came in. That's how they were bribing politicians to keep the gravy train going. And I think Elon Musk and his whiz kids are going to link it all back together. 6 months from now, we're going to be knowing down to, again, the individual where all this money went.
Well, I look forward to that. And yeah, Michelle Obama, $700,000 for 1 hour speech in Europe. Right. Let me ask you about this. Alex Jones pointed out on his show yesterday that the Department of Defense under the Biden administration funded Reuters with $9 million to engage in active social engineering and large-scale deception. What might that be? And could there have been money used in order to brainwash us during the COVID lockdowns?
Absolutely. The Months Act, removal of the Months Act, which prevented by Barack Obama, I think back in 2010 or 11, that law had previously prevented the U.S. government using propaganda against its own people. That law was removed, and it opened the door for all this nonsense. That's why you saw DHS doing the misinformation scrubbing. And so, to me, President Trump, one of the other things he's got to do, which if I'm in contact with some of his cabinet. I am going to recommend to members of Congress I interface with, that's got to come back. You cannot have the federal government being allowed to propagandize. So DOD technically didn't do anything wrong. They basically took advantage of the removal of restrictions, which permitted that. Full disclosure, I had to get waivers. I was running an operation back in 2001, where we had to basically put up a false website that basically was a form of propaganda that the American people would see. The American people weren't the target. So I had to get a special waiver saying, yeah, this is false. It's really to deceive people overseas to get them to do something. I don't want to get into specific detail, but it was meant to create a perception that someone would act on. And so we had to get a waiver because we weren't trying to actually propagandize the American people. It's like, yeah, we had a way of kind of, if someone American came to the website, we'd say, hey, this is not what you think it is. We get them away. But anyway, I'm just saying the restrictions we had on us, I thought were reasonable. We had to explain and get waivers. No such safety valve now exists. And so all that stuff you're talking about was propaganda designed to be used, I believe, against the American people. Knowing Lloyd Austin and his political leanings and the other deputies, I think that there was no doubt that they were using that to not do anything other than try to create perception issues relating to the American audience, not the global audience.
Okay. So what we've learned so far, 9 million to Reuters, 8 million to Politico, almost 50 million to the New York Times. As we age, we are all dealing with more aches and pains. Our hair starts to thin, our skin develops wrinkles, looks less youthful, even our nails become brittle. I want to tell you about an amazing product that helps prevent some of these things from happening. It's Revive from Bright Core Nutrition. Revive helps strengthen bones and joints. The best thing about Revive is that it works from the inside out. It's also going to help rejuvenate your skin, help you grow back thicker, healthier hair, and even better fingernails. Now, Revive, which tastes delicious, contains 5 types of collagen, hyaluronic acid, biotin, and vitamin C. These ingredients work synergistically to make you feel and look younger than you have in years. Revive is an easy to mix drink. I prefer mixing it into water because the strawberry lemonade is delicious, but some people will put it into coffee or hot chocolate or some other drink. Revive is all natural, non-GMO, and 100% made in the United States. Whether it's reducing aches and pains or revitalizing your skin or hair, Revive does it all. Today, I have an exclusive offer for my viewers. Buy 2 bottles of Revive, get one absolutely free by clicking the link below. Or call my friends at Brightcore for 50% off and free shipping. The number is 888-908-4425, or visit the link below, mybrightcore.com/USA. Again, if you call them, up to 50% off and free shipping. All right, back to the interview. So these are news organizations all over the United States of America. They're all parroting the same talking points that the American people need to trust the media, that it's very dangerous to have an opinion, to go to independent news sources. What are your thoughts on this now in light of knowing USAID was buying off so much mainstream media narrative?
Well, I could have been an actor, but I ended up here. I don't have to be clear. I just have to look at it. I have to be clear to quote the song Dirty Laundry from, what's his name? Don Henley. Look, it's all manipulated. There was something called Project Mockingbird that was discovered back in the church hearings in the 70s. It never went away. It just changed. And so what you saw there was a display of that feeding of key sources. And I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand. I'm a member of the media. I'm a Newsmax contributor. Newsmax has never asked me once to say something or not say something. Which means they're upset with me all the time, just saying. Anyway, but that's a different story. But I'm just saying that let me give an example. They're Able Danger. So there was a point in time. Let me give your audience some history. They can check this out. The disclosure of Able Danger was the first and last time the New York Times and Fox News ever worked together. You can check it out. First and last time. Phil Sheen at the New York Times broke the story online at the same moment Catherine Herridge broke the story on TV. They coordinated down to the time because it was such a big story. First and last time, Stephen. Never happened again. But for about 2 weeks, as strange as it was, New York Times and Fox News were running neck and neck, breaking information out of it. Then all of a sudden, about a month in, leadership comes to Catherine Herridge and says, "Hey, Kath, you need to stop covering Able Danger. There's no there." So Fox drops out. And so like a year later, Catherine goes and talks to Phil Sheen at an event and says, "Hey, I noticed you guys stopped covering Able Danger too, about the same time." And Phil said, "Yeah, my leadership came to me and said, 'Hey, Phil, you need to stop covering this. There's no there.'" Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. So I'm just telling you that there have been forces behind the scenes working to manipulate what we see when we see it, and the shading of the content as far back as I've been part of this landscape. And so I think we have just seen the revelation of how it's funded, and everybody should be frightened by this because the idea that we've been funding Politico, which has been attacking the very values and ethics and people that I find to be important. And by the way, we don't have a democracy. We're a republic. And that by itself is a point of propaganda from the left. Oh, it's a no, we're not. We're a republic. We're a representative. Even Google gets that right, for God's sake, Stephen. If you actually ask, hey, what is the government of the United States? It's a republic. So that and by the way, this is a little note. I'm wearing a Reagan shirt today. The Soviet Union was a democracy. They had a party and they all voted all the time. It was a pure democracy by the fact that there was one party and that party always voted the same way. But that's where the left was pulling us. Just saying. They only wanted to have the appearance, the illusion of a republic. They wanted a democracy. That's why they always say it. They don't hide what they're doing. So what we've seen is them infiltrating via Congress, both sides, this mono party, trying to find a way to control. And by the way, who was funding all these think tanks to do misinformation? Well, it was USAID and DHS. It was our own government trying to suppress our freedom of speech, and it can never happen again.
Yeah, hopefully we won't. Here's a great picture from the White House last night. You've got Tucker Carlson, President Trump, and Elon Musk with these giant "Make America Great Again" hats. Just a great photo. But one thing that Elon and his team put out on the Doge Twitter feed last night was they've now connected USAID money to 6,000 journalists and 700 newsrooms, meaning this infiltration of controlling the narrative through the mainstream media is more prolific and widespread than most of us would even realize. Tony, I don't know if you saw this or not, but this morning, New York Attorney General Letitia James threatened to sue Elon Musk and have him hauled to the Southern District of New York to be prosecuted. Is this a developing plot to get Trump's top person into the same legal system that tried to destroy Donald Trump?
Yeah, it's not going to work for a couple of different reasons. Now you have a different attorney general. Pam Bondi is over there now. You're going to soon have Kash Patel. So you're going to have essentially guardrails against the stupidity. And let me be clear on this, because Senator Kennedy said this in the well of the Senate, and I've said this in my own social media. Elon Musk was given a top secret clearance by the Joe Biden administration as part of his government work. Elon Musk is a special government employee. The leftists use special government employees. Abba Ubadine, whatever, Mrs. Carlos Danger, Anthony Weiner's ex was in that status for years and got paid big money by not even showing up. So, and by the way, Musk is not even paid. So Musk is in a legal status, and he's been given an executive order which gives him all the authority he needs to go do what he's doing. Period. The executive, the president, owns the executive branch. Whatever happens, he owns. He owns everything from security clearances down to spending. It's all his. And Letitia James can say whatever she wants. She has no authority to do anything. And I would see her getting literally locked up over this if she persists in trying to do this stupidity. There's a new sheriff in town. I just don't think Kash and Pam Bondi are going to have any tolerance for nonsense. At the moment they try to do something to lock up Elon Musk, who was doing a legitimate, completely legal job, that would be considered interference with government operations, and I think they'd put the habeas corpus on him. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Elon Musk suddenly showed up at the Supreme Court and tried to infiltrate their offices, or suddenly showed up at Chuck Schumer's office or James Comer's office, that would be crossing the branches, right? But
Absolutely.
What you're saying is the chief executive, Donald J. Trump, has ordered a specially cleared security clearanced person to go do something within the executive branch. Am I
do an audit of spending? Absolutely, an audit of spending, completely legal. And no, he can't go to the Supreme Court and check into Merrick Garland into Judge Roberts' robe. He can't go look at the robes. No, can't do that. He can't go into Congress and check what Chuck Schumer has in his secret safe. By the way, did you know that every member of Congress has a secret safe for bribes? And I'm not joking. And Louis Gohmert, Congressman Gohmert showed me, he says, Tony, come back here. He says, besides us having our own bathrooms, we got this safe. And it's for bribes. Just say it. So not that I don't think, no, Louis didn't take bribes. So I'm just saying, apparently members of Congress have a safe in their own office. But so yes, Elon can't go look at Chuck Schumer's secret safe that I just revealed. Just saying.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for that insight. What's your opinion or thoughts around Attorney General Pam Bondi? After back and forth, she barely gets, confirmed. Her first order is to cut off billions of dollars flowing to over 200 sanctuary cities. To me, this seems like a big deal, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's just, I mean, most of the cities, they're not going to cooperate, and it's in the name, sanctuary city. It's like, okay, sorry, I'm not going to fund you going against the policy I've now been directed to enforce, which is removal of illegal aliens. So it's okay. We'll just cut it off. I mean, this has been threatened over and over. It's the first time someone's actually had the cojones to do it, so to speak. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to get people's attention. As a matter of fact, I would just stop all funding of all this stuff and then case by case start looking to justify reopening it. Again, this is part of the executive branch. People tend to, it's the Justice Department. Now it's part of the executive branch. Pam Bondi still works for President Trump, period. So she can do this. She can influence policy relating to these cities, and she's going to be working with Tom Homan to actually implement the president's policy. So I have no problem with this at all. None.
Do you think that she will reopen investigations into the 2020 election, and will she look under the hood of what actually happened on January 6th?
Considering what Bill Barr did to me, yeah, I hope she does. I have not had any contact with Attorney General Bondi. I hope to. I will probably be reaching out to former attorney generals I know for this discussion to happen. There's at least two that I think would be open to the conversation. And yeah, I think Bill Barr has some explaining to do. Bill Barr, I think we've talked about it here on your podcast several times, Stephen. Bill was not playing for the American people. I don't know who he was playing for, but it was not out to get to the truth. And I think there were a number of anomalies. I'll be polite. Anomalies, some of which I was personally involved in regarding investigations of ballots going from Bethpage, New York to central Pennsylvania. We theorize into Philadelphia the night of counting that need to be examined. And so, yeah, I hope she does. I don't think she ever said during her confirmation she wouldn't do it. So I hope she does. It shouldn't be the first thing they do, but I think it's one of the things they should get to within the first year.
Well, what I find interesting is you were specifically investigating and finding evidence of malfeasance anomalies from New York into the state of Pennsylvania. During her confirmation hearing, she was asked right now on live national television to declare that Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election. And she said, there's actually some things in Pennsylvania I'd like to look into. I can't say without looking into those files. They again said, you must declare right now. And she said, no, there's stuff in Pennsylvania specifically that I want to look into. That immediately made me think about you and the investigation you were doing, that now the Postal Service has confirmed, yes, there was a trailer. Yes, it moved here. We can't say what was on it, and we don't know where that trailer is. Something happened in Pennsylvania, and I'm hoping that she will reopen that, because I think it would put a lot of stuff to rest, whether they find something or not. Just put that baby to bed.
Right. Well, there's still litigation ongoing. Rasmussen Reports has been fabulous on this, Stephen. I don't know if you've been tracking that or not.
No. What are they going over?
They're actually litigating the issue regarding the post office about some of these documents and stuff. So we should probably talk offline about this.
Okay.
Rasmussen Reports, they're actually tracking this right now, doing this stuff. So I've actually spoken to them. I've spoken on and off the record. But I'm just saying there were anomalies, and I think it would be foolish to not examine these things. And and again, where did the 12 million people who voted for Joe Biden go this last election? Is like, did they just get abducted by aliens? Was it all a cookbook? To quote the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, the record of those people is about as strong as the record of Kamala Harris working at McDonald's.
Yep.
Doesn't exist. We don't know. We don't know where those people went. Okay. What are your thoughts on President Trump being able to work hand in hand with Vladimir Putin to end the Russia-Ukraine war?
So I was just doing some show prep on this before the interview. Right now, the special envoy has been talking about some of the things he wants to do, and there's a division within the administration. Mike Waltz and I think Keith Kellogg have a certain view. I think there's others. My view is we need to walk away as quick as possible. I think others want to continue to endure and try to give Zelensky support. I think the moment they do a deep dive, and Keith Kellogg said on an interview, I think yesterday on Newsmax, that there's going to be an audit of everything. Oh, good. We're going to come to find that, and I have a close friend of mine who's been trying to work on the ground there. He said, most of the money that we've sent, most of the resources we've sent never ends up where it's supposed to be. 10%.
Zelensky said in an interview, where's the money that Biden promised? Like our accounting shows most of it's missing.
Yeah. So we're going to come to find it's gone. And so my judgment is walk away. We tried it the reasonable way. It's time to take a step back. And I do believe, and I'll just be direct, I've said this before, we had a hand in creating this war through the color revolution. USAID, Victoria Nuland back in 2012, 2013, 2014, we helped instigate this whole conflict by doing what we did. So it's time that we take a step back and reconsider how we do things. And right now, no matter what we do, the Russians continue to win. Right now, Stephen, Russians have a 5-1 advantage. I've said this from day one. I said the first 6 months of the war, you can go back and find the interviews I did, that this is a numbers game, and Ukraine will never win just on the numbers. They will never have the numbers unless some outside force adds to their ground troop capacity. And nobody ever was. And I said that would never happen. It was inevitable that they could not win, despite what the Biden folks have been saying over the past 4 years. It was never in the cards. And so it's time we accept the reality as it is, not as we want it to be, and rethink the whole policy. So that's my view of it.
Okay. In our final minute together, I know you have a heart out. If Trump says America's walking away, isn't that going to force NATO to walk away? And if the money and the weapons dry up, doesn't that force Zelensky to the table to speak with Putin?
No. So the Europeans have been talking tough. I encourage you to go over and look at the Durand and Alex Christopher and those guys. They got a good handle on this. So I'm not saying this is not Tony Schaefer's original thoughts. This is me, I think, endorsing what they said. Keir Starmer, the folks, the EU folks, they want the war. They want this. Give it to them. Let them go. You go, girl, because the Europeans have their own arms industry that can do all the arming. You've got the Germans, you got the French, you got the British. Let them do it. We don't have to be, and by the way, how many times have we had to come in to bail the Europeans out of their own stupidity? Just saying. It's kind of like what we do. Well, in this case, if the Europeans really want to deal with Zelensky, to deal with you, let them have it. It doesn't have to be us. I know the French have spoken big about putting troops on the ground, and Keir Starmer has talked about this. The Germans, I don't think the Germans are going to continue to want to do it, but the past administration have. Let them have it. It's not our job. They're there. We're not. Let them deal with it if they want to deal with it.
Well, and President Trump has said many times, why are we paying for a war that Europe is involved in again? So I know we have a heart out. I appreciate you coming on,
Sure.
all the research that you do. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Stephen. Always enjoy our conversations. I hope to come back soon when I have more time.
Thank you.